So we know how to convert with simple metric, moving decimal, multiplying by factors of 10, things like that. In this case here, this is a non-metric conversion. And so in other words, what that means is I can't just simply move the decimal. I have to have logic behind how I convert these things. And a lot of people can just do these in their head. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. But what I like to do is I love to teach unit cancellation because that is an essential skill in the chemist's toolbox. 90% of chemistry, in this course especially, will be able to use just by thinking logically about how do I cancel units to get what I want, which is basically what unit conversion is to begin with. And so to show you how I do that, I have a couple problems here. The first problem is the blue problem over here on the left. This right here is known as a conversion factor. I'll put CF there to represent that it is a conversion factor. In other words, it is a known quantity. I know that if I have 1 inch, I'm going to have exactly 2.54 centimeters. And in this problem, I am going to take 172 centimeters and I need to convert that to inches. So in order to do that, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write that number, 172 centimeters, and I'm going to write it just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider two possibilities. I'm either going to multiply it by 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. And so notice how I took the conversion factor and wrote it as a fraction there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it as the opposite. So notice this is what's called the reciprocal. So this is the conversion factor that I have up above. This right here is the reciprocal of that conversion factor. So what I like to think of is you are always going to take this number, whatever you're converting, and multiply it by something. The question is, which one of these are you going to multiply? Which one of these are going to multiply it by? The answer to that is whatever cancels the unit. And so right here in this number right here, you can think of this as being over 1. So if you think of it as being over 1, this centimeters right here is in the numerator. So I don't want the centimeters anymore. I want to get 2 inches. And so in order to cancel that centimeters, the centimeters has to be opposite of it or in the denominator in the conversion factor. So the question is, which one of these gives centimeters in the denominator? Well, it's not this one, because see how inches is in the denominator here? Here, centimeters is in the denominator. So let me move these guys around so we can see what we're doing here. We're going to get rid of that guy, and we're going to take this guy and put it right here. And when I do that, then what I'm left with, I'll erase that. What I'm left with is 172 times 1 divided by 2.54. So in this case here, 172 times 1 is just simply 172 centimeters. Centimeters times inches if I don't cancel unit. And now I'm dividing it by 2.54 centimeters. Well, the centimeters here cancels, leaving us with inches, which is what we want. And so then to calculate this, all we would do is get out our calculator and we would simply take 172 divided by 2.54. And we get an answer of 67.7 inches. And that is 2 3 sig figs because I had 3 sig figs up here. So what I typically do is I don't show all of this. What I typically do is I just show, let me get rid of this guy right here. What I typically show is this portion right here. 172 times this, I notice they're opposite. I cancel them, leaving me with inches. And so then I can see that I'm not going to multiply those two. I'm going to take 172 divided by 2.54. Let's do the other example. And so over here, here's my conversion factor right here. And so then I've got 3.2 pounds, and I'm going to convert that to capital N, which is newtons. So I'm going to treat it like a multiplication problem. Now the question is, am I going to multiply that by which fraction? I'll write them down here. 4.45 newtons per 1 pound. That's one way to write the conversion factor. The other is the reciprocal of that, which is 1 pound over 4.45 newtons. So what I'm looking for, because the pounds is in the numerator up here, I'm looking for pounds in the denominator down here, which there it is right there. So I'm going to get rid of this guy, and then I'm going to move this guy up here so that it can be my fraction that I multiply by. And now we are ready to go. Pounds cancel, leaving me with newtons. In this case, I'm going to multiply across. Notice it's divided by 1, so it doesn't really do anything. So that should be 3.2 times 4.45, and we're left with 14.24 newtons, but I should round that to 2 sig figs because that's what my original number had. And so that should be 14 newtons. And that is simple conversion factors using cancellation of units.